Rules of Varhaug. When I first saw the listing for the farm in Varhaug, I thought it was a joke. It had everything I was looking for. It was cheap, remote, with forested land and a 3-bedroom house, though the photos looked like they were taken decades ago, as if the place hadn't changed since the 1960s. Maybe that's what appealed to me. I had spent the last 10 years in Oslo, breathing exhaust fumes and pushing pixels behind a glowing screen, and something in me broke. I wanted to break free from this cycle. I know it's kind of hypocritical of me to say this while literally living in a Nordic country. But things have been, how do I put it, not so well population-wise, and I felt like my culture is being replaced. I got to know of this place from my mother. Her family had come from the north, her childhood steeped in snow-covered pines and ancient native Viking folktales. So when I saw the Varhaug property for sale, I didn't think. I bought it instinctively to reconnect with my culture and ways of life. The man who sold it to me was named Erlend Jorvik. He looked like a kind of man who belonged in stories, not reality. Tall and wiry with a long beard that split at the chin like a forked tongue. When I met him at the farm to finalize the sale, he barely spoke. "Do you know what you're doing?" he asked me. "I think so." He nodded, reached into his coat, and handed me a sealed envelope. "Read this tonight. Follow them exactly. Do not test them." I opened my mouth to ask what he meant, but he had already turned, walking back to his truck. He left without another word. That first day, the house smelled like wood smoke and something else, something sour that clung to the walls. The furniture was heavy, carved oak and pine, with patterns I didn't recognize, spirals, wolves, knots like those found on ancient Nordic ruins either from or predating the Viking Age. A strange stone cairn stood at the edge of the forest beyond the barn, about waist high and covered in frost despite the early autumn warmth. I explored the barn, found tools along with other stuff and a tractor that looked like it hadn't been started since the Cold War. There was a root cellar under the kitchen, and inside it jars of cloudy preserves labeled in a dialect I couldn't read. Everything felt paused, waiting. That night, after unpacking and pouring a glass of whiskey, I opened Erlend's envelope. It wasn't a letter. It was a list typed, printed on yellowing paper. The 9 Rules of Varhaug. 1. After sunset, do not whistle. It draws their attention. 2. Keep your doors locked from dusk till dawn, every door, every night. 3. Feed the barn cats, all of them, especially the one with the torn ear. If he stops coming, leave raw meat by the cairn. 4. If you see antlers by your window after midnight, do not look outside. Draw the curtains. Stay silent until the hooves pass. 5. Never touch the cairn. Do not remove the stones. Do not speak near it after dark. 6. If the wind stops blowing, light a candle and place it on each windowsill. Do not let them go out. 7. If you find footprints in the snow that circle the house more than once, leave immediately. Do not pack. Do not look back. 8. On the winter solstice, stay inside the barn from sundown to sunrise. Bring food. Bring salt. Do not sleep. 9. If you hear knocking from under the floorboards, pretend you don't. Pray it stops before dawn. I laughed and shook my head. I thought maybe Erlin was pulling some strange northern prank on the city boy, but there was something else in the tone, the way it was written, the area itself. I folded the paper and poured another drink. Outside, the wind blew steadily. The tall pines shifted and swayed under the moonlight. I closed the windows, locked the doors. I mean, why not? Still gotta stay safe, and then I fed the cats. 3 of them, and yes, one had a torn ear. I sat by the fire, letting the warmth sink in as I flipped through an old book Erland had left behind on the shelf. He had a home library. I guess the isolation and the inability to get technology made him escape through these books. These books were old, antique with intricate native designs. The book I was reading was a collection of Norse folk tales. Trolls, spirits of the forest, draugr, and creatures that had no names, only warnings. The fire crackled. I yawned. The whiskey dulled the edges of my unease. Then the wind stopped. Not slowed. Stopped. Like someone had turned off the world's fan. The trees outside stilled, the rustling gone. I stood up. The silence was suffocating. Rule 6. If the wind stops blowing, light a candle and place it on each windowsill. My stomach tightened. My rational brain told me this was nonsense, but my body moved anyway. I grabbed candles from a drawer. There were plenty of them and lit one for each window. The flicker of flame felt like a talisman. I sat back down, book in hand, eyes darting to the page, then to the windows. Hours passed, and the wind didn't return. I checked and locked every door and window. At some point, I must have fallen asleep in the chair, but then I woke up to a tap light, delicate, like fingers on glass. I blinked, heart racing. The fire had died to embers. I looked in the window beside the front door. There was something there, just the edge of it, a shadow against the moonlight. Another tap. I stood frozen. Then I remembered the letter. I grabbed it, eyes scanning. There. Rule 4. If you see antlers by your window after midnight, do not look outside. Draw the curtains. Stay silent until the hooves pass. My throat closed. There were no curtains drawn. Another tap. A shadow moved across the frosted glass. I could see the tip of something curved and black. Antlers. I couldn't move. Something long and thin traced a line across the window, leaving a trail in the frost. The breath on the window turned the frost to fog. Something was waiting for me to look.